If you're here, you probably have a highly intuitive child, or you're starting to explore things that you're seeing within your child that is leading you to believe that they may be highly intuitive, highly sensitive, psychic. There's a lot of words for it. And so today we're going to discuss 7 things to pay attention to for Halloween with highly intuitive kids or psychic kids. And if you would like to go deeper into this, these are kind of bullet points, then you can find a whole podcast episode on it, episode 34 at A Mother's Intuition, where I discuss with Leila Briggs in depth more stories and help and tips and different things to understand why a lot of these things occur during Halloween. And a lot of these bullet points, actually all of them, came from that episode, so you can explore a bit further. All right, so let's get started. Number 1, Halloween is a day where the veil actually lifts and spirits do interact with humans and people on Earth more concentratedly than the rest of the year. And when we say spirit and energy, I want you to understand that doesn't just mean people that have passed on. Energy and spirit can be a multitude of other things. People can say, just for example, angels and guides and ancestors, and there's just a multitude of other things, more than we'll ever know. And so those things also too can interact with our children and ourselves during that time, even if we cannot see them or we can see them. Okay, number 2, energy and activity picks up as Halloween approaches. Many of you are probably experiencing this currently. So this has a few layers. When I say energy and activity picks up, that just doesn't mean, well, maybe in your house, for instance, more activity is occurring. Things are moving. You hear a lot more movement. Maybe you hear running. Maybe doors are opening. That's a basis. Maybe kids are seeing more shadow figures. Maybe people in your home are starting to see more things in their periphery or feel like somebody is there. That may pick up. Toys talking. So what also can happen though is there's other things when we talk about energy and activity picking up in this specific instance, is your children may start doing more sleepwalking and talking. Dreams may be far more intense. There may be a huge heightening of children being scared during as we get closer to Halloween. They may start seeing, for those that do see, start seeing more spirits, and they may discuss that with you. They may also have more like deep, wise downloads. They're telling you things that there's no way they should know. And one huge one, which often gets overlooked, is the amount of meltdowns that occur. Some of our children really do interact with energy, via feeling, and they may not know where that's coming from. And there may be these huge waves of energy. Maybe it really truly feels like they're suffering or sick or hurt or massive headaches, or this is literally the filtration of energy through their body. And we don't know how to help or where it's coming from. So that is another version. Number 3, this one's pretty big. Check your child's costume over and over again leading up to this. Oftentimes, children who are highly intuitive have this ability to perceive more. And the other issue is they are more in the spiritual than the physical. And I'll have to do another YouTube video on this. But think about it. They're more in their spirit than they are in their physical body. And they're always working to get into this physical body. And so clothes and things making it uncomfortable makes it very difficult and hard. Oftentimes children that are highly intuitive get pinned as having sensory issues. And I'm not sitting there saying sensory issues don't exist, but think about of like an insect who can perceive smell 1,000 times more, and how difficult that may be if you can feel your clothes 1,000 times more than the average person. So costumes, that's a big deal. So checking our costumes, some kids need them very tight and some kids need them to not touch them at all. Some need a specific fabric. Some kids, the mask is an amazing thing and can hide them, and then other kids, even the idea of putting a mask on, they begin to dry heave and they can't breathe. So to take that into consideration. Another thing with costumes is the constant getting in and out of the car, putting on and off. If you're in a school situation, I don't know if many people are, but the general putting it on to be in a school parade, these are all very taxing on the body. So it's important for us to kind of get that right ahead of time as best we can. We can only do what we can do. Number 4. So now we're going to talk about house visiting versus trick-or-treating. Some of us house visit trick-or-treat, which is we put our kids in the car and we drive to a house, and they go in the house and they trick-or-treat with a relative or a friend, and then we move to another house. And for some kids, this is great. They understand who they're going to. They may know and love them. They may not. And however, what you need to understand is there's still an exchange of energy, regardless if they're trick-or-treating or house visiting. And to walk into a house, what you might not realize is that they're perceiving any undealt with emotion that's in the house, any trauma that's happened in the house, any ancestors or spirits that are in the house, any secrets that are held in the house, any energy that is in the house. And then, so they're in it more thick, more densely. Whereas versus trick-or-treating, they're kind of just quick visiting, but they may be going to more houses, right? So they're just trick-or-treat there. They don't have to go into a dense or thick situation, a more concentrated situation as going into a house versus being outside of the house. However, they are going to more. More or less it's not one that's right, wrong, or indifferent, that you need to just discuss it with your kids, what feels better. They may only be able to do 4 trick-or-treat houses. They may be able to do the whole neighborhood. I don't know. But just to understand that there is an exchange of energy either way is important for you as a parent to know. Number 5, be prepared for things to change quickly. This one I have learned the hard way many times. When I say things to change quickly is, for instance, your child may say all month that they are not trick-or-treating, and then you get the grandparents lined up. They're going to watch your kid. You're about to walk out the door, and suddenly it dawns on them that they are willing to try. And for the love of God, have a costume in the trunk of your car. Be prepared for that change, for them to want to attempt to do it. This has happened to us on many occasions. Another thing that may happen is they may be happy-go-lucky going to all these houses and they're doing great, and then they walk up to you and say, I am finished, I gotta go home now. Be prepared for that. Have somebody on call. Maybe there's more than one parent in this situation. There's different ways to go about it, but for everybody's sake, if there's more than one child, that we're contending with here, they have siblings, you want to be able to make Halloween as enjoyable for everybody. And to drag a highly intuitive child after they've maxed out through Halloween can be terrible. It can be a terrible experience. So don't do that. What else have we done? We've brought strollers. We've brought tractors to like drive on when they just were maxed out and they just had to like lay down and they just wanted to be or follow in a car. That's just a few examples of things changing quickly. Number 6, the letdown. So the letdown kind of stands for two things. Many kids, all kids, have some kind of letdown after Halloween. The excitement, everything, and it comes down. Some kids, it's great. They're like sorting candy. They're super happy. Other kids crash and fall apart. It's important that you be prepared with highly intuitive children that there may be another level of this crash that occurs. And the letdown of letting out all that energy that they have acquired from trick-or-treating, from the hype, from experiencing so many people, because they want to be a part of it so bad, so they're pushing themselves. So there may be a massive release in whatever it be, emotions, sleep, needing a shower, all different kinds. There's also another type of letdown, and that is kind of the letdown that occurs, after Christmas when, it's all over or whatever. But with Halloween is a highly intuitive child is that if they have these ideas of what Halloween should be and to not be able to experience it in the degree that other kids do, there can be a lot of shame and grief that occurs with that, and that they thought they could do more houses. Or another huge one is the realization that other people don't perceive things the way they do, and it's obvious when you get trick-or-treating, or that other people think it's a joke and think what you're seeing is a joke, and that's a hard pill to swallow. So the letdown can most definitely occur, and for us to be prepared. Number 7, stop apologizing and be okay with saying no. People are going to want you to visit. People are going to want to spend Halloween with you and your family. But also people are not going to understand why you may need to move so slowly or stop because you have a child that may be overwhelmed after every house. And you also want to support your child for Halloween and not push them and all of these things. If you're going to say no to something, say no to the expectations of others. You don't need to apologize. If they would like to understand, they will genuinely ask you. And when I say genuinely, I mean it. They will genuinely ask you, and you can say, let's discuss it over a coffee later when there aren't kids around, and then you can decide on what level you are willing to let them in on your life. But it's really important that you're not spending an entire holiday apologizing to others, because what's end up happening is you're making the connection with others versus maintaining that connection with your child who's just trying to have a childhood and have Halloween. And so that is a big one. Just don't waste your life apologizing all the time. They're not going to understand anyway. Yeah, just be there for your kid, and being there to help it all play out and listen, and being somebody who's not telling them to just suck it up or they're missing it. They know it hurts, and they're doing the best they can, and to just not leave them alone to do it on their own unless they want to, unless they're at this point in their life that they are wanting to. Then that's a whole different other thing. You have to judge that as a parent. But if I can give you anything for this Halloween, it's to stop apologizing as a parent. You're doing a great job, and you are exploring what you need to explore. So there's your 7 points. Once again, if you need to find me, the podcast is A Mother's Intuition, and I'm on Instagram at A Mother's Intuition. And happy Halloween.